Greetings, greetings, family. Sister Shanice in the house. How are you? I hope that you rose today in power, that you rose today in strength, that you rose today ready to accomplish much. Wow, family. There's always so much going on in our world, isn't there? And looking forward to our show today. Fingers crossed, all being well, we are going to be joined by His Royal Highness, who doesn't have internet connection right now, but hopefully will have very soon. And don't I need him to join me, because those of you who are regular viewers of my channel, you will know that my internet likes to drop up and down, and I can't afford for it to drop down while I don't have a guest. Otherwise, I will drop out completely, and I don't want that to happen. So welcome, everybody. Please spread the word. Yes, we are indeed live. Let me know that you're in the house by hitting me up in the chat. We have just gone live. Going to give you a few moments to come through the door. Let me go over to YouTube, see if I can see any of you over there. Oh yeah, awesome. We've got Kwame Aboje in the house. Rise up, brother Kwame. How you doing? I hope all is well with you and that you've been firing on all cylinders today. Great to have you in the house. Rise up. Also, Sister Betty is in the house. Oh, rise up, Nangadef, each and every one of you. Hotep, Brother Kwame. Yeah, let me know that you're in the house, family, as you come through the door. And just want to mention the situation in the Ivory Coast. Wow. A few days ago, we were all leaping for joy. You know, we thought that there was a coup, and it turns out it's the coup that was not a coup after all. Such a shame, but wow, it must have sent shockwaves through the Ivory Coast parliamentary and presidential levels, because wow, the entire African world was just running with this story about the coup that was not a coup, the coup that we were all hoping was a coup, because you know they sit on the border, don't they, of Burkina Faso, and you know, they are working right now with the enemy. And, you know, anyone that works with the enemy is an enemy of ours, is an enemy of the people. So we don't want those sorts of presidents, do we, ruling over any African country. And it was only as a result of doing doing a video on the Ivory Coast that, you know, I even realized today, and I'm even more aware of what the situation is in that country. I'm going to jump over to that in a little while, but let me just welcome more of you through the door. Rise up, Sister Teresa. Good to have you in the house. She's saying greetings of light and peace, Sister Shanice. Thank you so much. Sending enough light and peace black at you. Rise up again, Brother Kwame. Great to have you in the house, firing away on the keyboard there. He said, Brother Ibrahim Traore, we have his back. Yes, indeed, we do have his back. And we've got Sister Betty in the house as well, rising up, Brother Kwame. Yes. And I think Brother Kwame is agreeing with me 100% about the coup that was not a coup, that we were hoping was a coup. Yeah, it wasn't until, you know, I actually started looking into the situation there in the Ivory Coast that I even realized that this president, what's his name, Alassane Ouattara, is married to a Wazungu. I mean, there ought to be, in my opinion, let me know what you think, there ought to be a law against African presidents having non-African wives. What do you think about that? You know, what is she saying to him? Because obviously the wife is going to be like the confidant, she's going to be like the advisor, she's going to be making recommendations and suggestions to him. She's going to be talking in his ear, telling him maybe what companies he ought to be contracting with, how he ought to be treating his people. And I'm, a resident of the UK, and I'm only too aware of how Wazungus treat us as Africans in the UKKK. So how can you have a Wazungu, advising an African president about how he should be treating his people, and the women and the children and the mothers of his country, when those very same Wazungus in their own country don't give two hoots about us as African women. They don't give two hoots about African children, about the education that we as Africans receive, about the lack of job opportunities that we as Africans have in the UKKK. They don't give two hoots, about deaths in police custody among our community in particular. They don't give two hoots, about the injustices that we suffer in their so-called justice system. So how can we expect a Wazungu woman to be advising an African president, in a manner that's going to be in the interest of the people, if they're not doing it in their own country? Tell me if I've got it all wrong, But anyway, the first lady of the country is indeed a Wazungu, the wife of Alassana Ouattara. And he's been serving as president for no less than 15 years. 15 years he's been in office for. And apparently, he's in the process of, or has recently changed the constitution so that he could stand for another term. And I don't think the people of the Ivory Coast are going to be able to stand for that because, they are suffering over there. Unsurprisingly, they are suffering, so, they've got a population of just under about 30 million people. And as we know, they're on the border of Ghana, Mali, and Burkina Faso. So strategically, they are key in terms of the liberation movement. And even though it's an African country, their official language is French. So they're still very much, up the rear end of the French. And is it a minerally rich country? Yes, it is indeed. Oh my gosh. Ivory Coast has got a variety of minerals, family: gold, diamonds, nickel, bauxite, natural gas reserves, huge amounts that's unexploited at the moment, huge amounts of deposits of iron ore, manganese, and all these other minerals, huge volumes of it, oil and natural gas, offshore reserves, diamonds. So you would expect, wouldn't you, family, that a country that is minerally rich to that extent, has ensured that their population are enjoying a very high standard of living. That's what you would expect. But is that the case? Oh, well, when I looked at the poverty rates for, the Ivory Coast or Cote d'Ivoire, whichever you prefer to call it, there's almost a third of the population that's living below $2 a day or something like that. It's so despite the wealth, let me give it to you. It says almost 40% of the country, that's 29 million people, are living below the national poverty line. And the national poverty line is low already. More than 40% are food insecure. How can a country that is rich with so many resources, the people are asking, have a population where 40% of them are living below the poverty line and are food insecure? It's obvious that there are therefore major problems in terms of the management of the country, the management of the resources, the management of the gold, the management of the diamonds, the management of the platinum, and all the other, rich minerals that it's got. And so, with the utterances of that General Michael Langley talking about wanting to put a stop to our beloved Ibrahim Traore, having talks with the Ivory Coast, cozy talks with the Ivory Coast, the whole of Africa was like, no way, Jose, this ain't going down. We're not going to have an African leader remain as an African leader who is having cozy talks with America and France, about putting a stop to the rise of Africa's independence and Africa rising. And so when we heard that there was a coup in the Ivory Coast, we were like, yes, one Ivory Coast people, the Ivorians are like, yeah, man, one, the Ivorian military has stepped up to the mark. But sadly, it turned out it wasn't a coup after all. But as I said, I'm sure it sent major shockwaves throughout and across the Ivory Coast. And if that president, isn't reviewing his policies and isn't reviewing his stance at the moment, then, he is going to find himself in serious, serious trouble very soon. So I want to rise up all the Ivorians, all of those who took to the street, celebrating what they thought was a coup, making, their sentiments known, very clearly known. We do not want any African governments who are having cozy chats, with Africom, who are allowing, their borders to be used by Africom, who are going to therefore allow the infiltration of American troops into, onto the borders of Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger. We don't need those African leaders. We don't want those African leaders. And there's no place and no space anymore, anywhere in Africa for those sorts of leaders. So either fix up or take up on yourself and go away. And that me say. What do you say, family, in the chat? Let's go over to the chat for a little while I wait for our beloved His Royal Highness to join me today. So yes, rising up to each and every one of you that have joined me in the house. Yes, Betty is agreeing, that the country is wealthy beyond measure. Brother Kimani's in the house. Rise up, Brother Kimani. Great to have you in the house as well. Brother Kwame Aboje, enough love for all of the posts as well. And you said, you're telling me that Ouattara was responsible for plotting against, our beloved Laurent. Listeners, sorry, I need to get my glasses here, or let me just zoom in a little bit. Laurent Gbagbo. So, he's a traitor from day one. Rise up, Sister Afrojamo. Good to have you in the house as well. Thanks for bigging me up, Sheriff S as well. Wonderful to have you in the house. And you're bigging up our Captain Ibrahim Traore. Yes, indeed. We big him up every time. Teresa, great to have you in the house as well, each and every one of you. The coup that was not a coup. Wasn't we hoping that it was a coup? Wow. And as I said, most of us went running with the story, even though it wasn't confirmed, because we were hoping, that we would have been able to speak it into existence, If enough of us said, yes, there's a coup happening in the Ivory Coast right now, maybe the military were like, what coup? What? I'm going to get in on this as well and do what needed to be done. And that's where we are today as a people. With this demonocracy that they call democracy doesn't work for Africa. It just allows the Western world, to appoint their own misleaders over us. And it just allows them, to continue to implement their own agenda and have our leaders at their beck and call. What an embarrassing meeting recently. Let me see if I can get that up. Embarrassing meeting recently between Ramaphosa and Donald Trump. What a something that meeting was. And I mean, obviously, it wasn't as bad as the one with Zelensky, but it was still really awful. Why did they even bother going to having a meeting with them? I don't know. They should tell him to come to their country, and have a meeting if they want to have a meeting with the African presidents. Because you see, when our people go running to them, it gives them that air of superiority. It makes them feel that they've got the African presidents where they want them to be, at their beck and call. Anyway, Ramaphosa went to America, didn't they, to meet Donald Trump, and he brought some of his white government officials with him. And Donald Trump was claiming to have had all of this evidence to suggest that white farmers were being murdered and slaughtered in South Africa. When there's the vast majority of people in South Africa who are being murdered are Africans. South Africa in the townships is like the land of lawlessness. And it's been like that for decades. Yeah. And so Donald Trump wasn't expressing any concerns whatsoever about any of the Black people that were being murdered in South Africa. He wasn't expressing any concern whatsoever about any of the Black farmers that were being murdered in South Africa, because Black farmers were being murdered as well. He was only interested in the white farmers that were being murdered. What does that tell you, people? It should tell us that to them, the only lives that matter are white lives. And so, why was Ramaphosa, so ready to defend, the lawlessness that's going on in his country, that's having a trickling effect on the white farmers, when there is such a bigger problem of crime that they're trying to manage in South Africa, and where is the concern and the outrage among the African governments about the death of their people? Because that's what we should be hearing. When their people are dying in the Mediterranean Sea, and the French and the Italians and the Spanish and not sending any boats to try and rescue them, there should have been outrage and outcry about it. In the same way that Trump was making it clear to Ramaphosa and the world, that if, a white person in South Africa loses their life, he's concerned about it. Equally, all the African governments need to be making it clear equally, all of the African governments ought to be making it clear that, any Black life, African life that is lost anywhere in Europe or in any part of America is of concern to the African governments. Let me just let this person know that I'm live on air. And so therefore can't take that call. Yeah. And, if we're not waking up and realizing that the European and American governments are only first and foremost concerned about their people of their complexion, the Caucasians, and if we ever thought that they had any concerns about us, hopefully this is a big wake-up call, to everybody, So here's Trump, that he wants to solve the problems of injustices in Africa. I'm reading now from The Guardian newspaper. Trump's unfounded attack on Cyril Ramaphosa was an insult to all Africans. This is written by John Dramani Mahama. That's right. Yeah, his unfounded attack on Cyril Ramaphosa was indeed an insult to all Africans everywhere. hear him. If we want to solve injustices in Africa today, we cannot forget the injustices that shaped our shared history. Yes, indeed. But there wasn't any talk about that. There wasn't any talk about the injustices that has shaped our history. Oh, I think we may have been joined now. I think our Royal Highness is coming on live. Yes, indeed. Woo! There he comes, family. I can see him preparing to come live, which is absolutely fantastic. And, as I was saying, that meeting between Donald Trump and Cyril Ramaphosa was an injustice and an insult to all of us as Africans everywhere. Welcome, welcome, Your Royal Highness. How are you?
Greetings, and to all your viewers and listeners around the world. I'm fine, in good health. I'm here in the city of Pambefumi. I've arrived in Rundonda, which is the new name for London.
Yes, yeah. Welcome, welcome to Rulonanda. That's the new name. Our king has renamed England and renamed London and renamed numerous places out there. Yes, as he said, he's on the tour right now, the Afrikan Liberation Tour in what was the UK, but now has a new name. And let me go over to our king. King, please remember, if I drop out, just carry on and I'll come back in as soon as I can. Welcome, welcome. We are indeed delighted to have the pleasure of your company on this live today. Let's welcome His Royal Highness Changambire Maponga, everybody in the chat, who is on a tour in the UK. And we're going to hear about his renaming of places in the UK. But first of all, please, Your Royal Highness, introduce yourself to our audience. Thank you so much.
Me and you have done programs for 3-4 years. If anyone wants me to introduce myself, please. Even that language is fine. I can't introduce myself, but introduce myself.
Wow.
In the plurality of me, yes. You find meaning for me. So I have 10 fingers representing my grandfather's mother's side, paternal side, my mother and father, 10 of them. I'm number 1, which is the 11th.
Wow.
So I can't say much.
I'm educated right there.
I'm the one.
That was an education for me right there. I've got to drop the English language. Yes, please introduce yourselves. You are one of many.
Thank you. Thank you. You got it right. Yeah. I'm not here as a singular person. I'm plural. Angwanani, beautiful, plural. Sanibonani, it's plural. Abusheni, it's plural. Kenda Yando, it's plural. Dumela, it's plural. Mulibwanji, mu, it's plural. Ulibwanji, that's singular. Mulibwanji, that's Malawian, by the way. And so all African languages, when we greet people, we greet them in the plural. Because the singular must acknowledge the plurality in them.
Rise up, King, for that knowledge that you shared with us there. As you know, we are disconnected from our roots, and so we've lost a lot of this ancient knowledge. I mean, at one time, we would have known better. We would have known, that we greet in the plurality. We see the plurality in each and every one of us. The ancestors, the gifts of the ancestors, the spiritual side, the physical side. Wow, wow, wow. So how's the UKKK? It's got a new name now. Let me
the UK is now called Pambefumi.
Pambafumi. Pambafumi.
Pambefumi. The thieves. of our wealth.
Pambefumi,
Ambefumi, the thieves of our wealth.
thieves of our wealth. That's the new name, family, for England. The new name for England is Pambefumi, the thieves of our wealth. Very appropriate name. Yes, indeed. And how are you finding Pambefumi?
They came into our land. They found names and places, and they named them after themselves and their own queens.
Mm-hmm.
So if they had the audacity of coming to Victoria Falls, coming to the Great Zimbabwe, coming to Are, they called it Salisbury.
Mm-hmm.
Victoria Falls was Musia Tunya, was the original name.
Mm-hmm.
Nyanda, going to it's going to go to Fort Victoria. Then they named all, and I'm just mentioning Zimbabwe for a start.
Mm-hmm.
The damage they caused from South Africa, naming rivers, mountains, roads, cities, even changing our names. I mean, my grandfather's name was Marara, but for him to work, Marara Munyuki Muchena, Maponga. Marara means manure and fertilizer. Munyuki, the one who comes from the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Maponga, the one who fights like a civet cat. And they changed those names to Joshua Maponga. What do I lose as an African to walk into London also and name their cities? I went last week to a place where I saw some skeletons of our ancient fathers in the British Natural Museum. And I've named that place Ningadzimu, means the graveyard of our ancestors. I named London Turundonda, the place of the weaklings. The River Thames is now Zivarebha, the pool where even dogs can't drink. Birmingham became Berejena, the house of the white hyenas. If they can do it, why can't we do it?
Right. Yes. Yes, indeed. I could
So
post.
I think I sent you the list of the names, did I?
Yes, you did. And shall I pull them up on the screen? Shall I try and pull them up?
No, please put them up on the screen. Put them up from tomorrow onwards. We no longer have London. We have Rundonda. Rundonda, the place of the weaklings.
Let me get it ready, and I will do.
Even Oxford University and Cambridge University have renamed them to the place where slaves are being manufactured.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. I'm just preparing it now, and I'm going to bring it up. So let me share screen. There it is. And,
I can see you are burning in Gambia. They are wiping your face.
I know, it's so hot. I think the rain is going to be coming soon, you see. And so it gets really hot over here at that time of the year. And whoo, I am feeling it, but I'm not complaining. I've got my fan, I've got my rag. Here we are. It's up on screen now, Your Royal Highness.
Don't worry.
The renaming of England and the places therein.
You can read it. You can read it for them.
So we've got England that's now going to be called Pambefumi, the thieves of wealth, the thieves of our wealth. And
Mm.
we've got the museum there that's going to be the Ningadzimu. Ningadzimu?
Ninga, Simu, the
Zimu
graveyard of our ancestors.
graveyards of our ancestors. You see, this was done pretty quickly, family, so apologies for my typos in there. Thames River,
Nanga,
Zivarembwa,
Zibarembwa.
Zivarembwa, the pool of dogs.
Yeah,
Not even dogs can drink from.
yeah.
Family, make sure you make a note of these names, yeah? If they can go to our homeland and rename our rivers, rename our lakes, rename our cities and our countries, then our king can come here and do the same. So these are the names that we're going to be knowing these places by. Heathrow, we're going to be calling it Maharedsi Zanwa. Meheredzanwa.
Meredzanwa, that's Heathrow Airport, the venue of tears.
Wow, the venue of tears, a crying junction.
Mm.
And London is now Rondonda.
Rundonda, Rundonda, the household of the weakling, the household of the weaklings.
Rondondwa,
Rundonda, Rundonda. It's not London, Rundonda.
Rundonda, Rundonda.
Mm.
The home of the wicked and the weaklings.
The home of the weak.
Yeah. Manchester is now Kumangamba. The noisy.
Kumagaba, the place of the noise. Kumagaba.
What made you give
remember
that name?
Remember that Manchester was the first industrialized city in the world. So it was a place of tinkering and noise and making of instruments, weapons, and etc. It was the first city in the whole of Europe.
Wow.
Manchester.
Wow.
So it is the place where there was tinkering and knocking of metal. So it's a Magaba.
Wow.
Place of noise.
Yes. And that's really interesting, actually, because, as you was...
Birmingham is Berejena.
Berejena, white hyenas.
The hive of the white hyenas.
Yeah. Because Britain used to be known as the place where the Phoenicians would come for tin, because there was a lot of tin mining that was going on here in Britain. And the miners were Africans that they called the Picts. These were short-statured Africans, Bantus, who had traveled from West Africa and settled in Britain prior to there being a single white person on the land. And so not only are you renaming, but we are also reclaiming Britain, because the original founding fathers of Britain, like the rest of the world, were us as Africans. So let the renaming continue and the reclaiming, family. Wow.
I have come home. I have come home before even the British knew how to build. We were here a few centuries earlier to build what now they call the Stonehenge. The Stonehenge.
Exactly. Yes.
That civilization is older than the Anglo-Saxons, the Herulis, the Anemanes, the Visigoths, the Anglo-Saxons, the Francos. I'm mentioning all the civilizations in Europe. The Stonehenge is as old as the pyramids of Sudan, of Nigeria, of Giza in Egypt, the Great Zimbabwe, Mapunga, Lomboshava, and Hami. 285 sites in the south. And those civilizations are all older than the Anglo-Saxons. So the British cannot claim the Stone Age as part of British history. But when that was happening, they were not even part of the narrative. They were not part of the history. So the history of the Moors from Egypt, from Sudan, who were the rulers of Spain, including Queen Charlotte, who was the queen mother of Queen Victoria and Elizabeth, was not a white woman. It was a black woman. So we're not here in London or in Rundonda being told by some white peasants who did not even know how to bath where London is. There's no London until I arrived here. This is Rundonda.
Rundonda. Yes, King. Yes, King, for real. You have returned home. You're visiting home. Yes, indeed. You know, the original home of our forefathers. And anywhere that our forefathers were, anywhere where we are the founding fathers is home. You know?
Our history is in Australia with the Aborigine, in China with the Great Wall of China, what they call the Great Wall of China. You must go to the Great Wall of China tomorrow, and you'll find that the inside of the wall and the outside of the wall, simple technology.
Yes.
The inside of the wall is facing towards the Moors, who are the Africans who were running Europe. So we cannot be calling it the Wall of China because we're protecting the Moor kingdom from the Mongolians. So even what you call the Great Wall of China is not a Great Wall of China, it's a Great Black Wall.
Yes. Yes.
You get to Peru, you get to Brazil, you get to Europe, you get to the south. There's a time when actually Africans colonized the world. But when we colonized the world, we civilized it.
Exactly. Yes.
Sorry.
Yes, Your Royal Highness. Yes, indeed. And as civilizers, you know, we brought the knowledge of astronomy, of science, of mining, of agriculture. You know, we brought all of this knowledge to the world. And we were the original people of the world. The original Chinese were Africans. The original Japanese were Africans.
Not we were. We are.
The line went bad. Please repeat that, Your Royal Highness.
It's not we were.
Yeah. We are. Yes.
It's not we were the original. We are.
Oh, the original. Yes, I stand corrected. Thank you, King. We are the original people of the world. The original people of America, the East, the West. Please forgive me if it's my internet. Please.
One black woman, thank you. One black woman can Caucasian. One black woman can produce Chinese. One black woman can produce Indian. One black woman can produce black. One black woman can produce Brazilian. One black woman can produce Peruvian and Indian. You black women are the threat of this world civilization. Because if you are allowed to reproduce, you can flush out all other tribes back to yourself. You didn't hear me. You didn't hear me.
I heard you, King. You know, I heard you. And the saddest thing is, you know, that at some point in time we were mating with these subhumans who, in their earliest forms, were the Neanderthals that came out of the caves, you know, on all fours with no culture, no history, no knowledge, lived among us, mated with us. Oh, heaven forbid. And here we are now with the offsprings of these subhuman species that we quite often seem to mistakenly think they are of the same species of us. And I think that's sadly our biggest mistake. We see them as the same species.
If they were human beings, if they were human beings, they would be human.
And have humanity.
If they were mankind, they would be kind towards other humankind. But the Caucasian is not human. The Caucasian is not mankind. But the Caucasian dreams, wakes up in the morning how to kill, to destroy, to bomb. He wakes up in the morning to go to his workplace to find out how to destroy 10, 15, 30 million people. That's a Hiroshima, atomic bombs. They don't go there to find out how to plant 5 trees, how to make this world a habitable place. They go to work in the morning to look for weapons, how to kill other human beings. They're not human beings, therefore, because they are not kind towards humankind, the same species like them. So the fact that they want to destroy this species, they are not kind towards us. How do you call them humankind? The fact that they want to destroy this kind of a person, they can't be mankind. Because how do they relate to other men?
Indeed, indeed.
And any African woman who breathes across the barrier, he is breeding that which is not humankind. She breeds that which is not mankind. Any African man who breeds with another white person, they are not producing mankind, humankind, but a dilution of our kind.
And hence the Arab world is basically a mixed race, species of the black and the white, and 1,500 years of enslavement. They hate the black in them. They hate their black mothers and their black fathers. And look at the way that Africans are treated today when they go to that part of the world. Family, if we don't wake up, if Donald Trump's message to Cyril Ramaphosa the other day wasn't clear enough to us that these people only are concerned about their own, what more do we need to wake up? More do we need? Well, there's a lot of waking up that's been happening in London, UK. His Royal Highness has been touring parts of Rondondon and other parts of no longer England. Let me get my notes. Has been touring Pamba Pemba Fumi, celebrating 50 years of the PACM, the Pan-African Congress Movement's Afrikan Liberation Day. What has the experience been like, please, King? What was it like in Manchester, in Bristol, in Birmingham? No, sorry, I got the new. What was it like in Kumbangaba? That's Manchester. And Bergina, the white hyenas. What was it like? Please share.
Bergina was beautiful, with a wonderful experience in Magaba. It was ecstatic. And for me, what was most important is to stand in the institutions that were built by the Malcolm X's, the Maccabees, the Martin Luthers. Tomorrow I'm going to the Stonehenge, and I'll go via Haile Selassie's palace down in the south here, where the only time when the Queen of London knelt on her floor. And that picture is actually, if you put that picture on your profile, Facebook and other places, they actually block you. They may even remove you from it. But there's a picture in history where the Queen of London was kneeling. She was kneeling to who? She was kneeling to Haile Selassie.
Yes.
Why? Because the grandmother of Queen Elizabeth, Charlotte herself, was a black woman. And when Queen Elizabeth came to Africa, she could not help but kneel in front of her own grandmother, who is Ethiopia. And man, history is beautiful. And one thing I love about history, it's not emotional. So you don't need to be emotional to know that King James was a gay who wrote a book about demons and also edited the Bible. There's no emotion. That history will tell you this is what happened. How you want to feel about the Bible and the King James Version, amen, that's for your own emotions. But the facts are, history is not emotional. And when you begin to look and put these pieces together, the worldview changes. Changes. It's no longer the same. There's no way that the British and the Europeans can think themselves superior to Africans. And the reason that they want to spend lots of time in African history, to delete our history and put their history, because they think that they're superior to us. That's the whole idea of making Queen Charlotte white, of making Cleopatra white, of making the Hatshepsut white, and making Tutankhamun white. When you look at Hollywood interpreting that thing, they will actually do a Hollywood movie on the kings of Egypt. And the king is a white man. When the white man was not even available or alive at that time, because they want to brainwash again and tell the African child that your history comes from us. How long will it take me to teach you young children that they are stealing history? There was no white man here when the pyramids were built. There was no white man here when the Great Zimbabwe was put together. There was no white man here. But to maintain this white supremacy colonial narrative, then they use media and bandage into media their colonial narrative, so that when you look at that history, you feel like you come from them, when in fact they come from you. Wait, let me stop there.
Rise up, King. You see, we've got to wake up. We've got to study our history, because, you know, as King was saying, when we were building Stonehenges and stone circles all around the world, you know, the stone circles in Zimbabwe and South Africa, all around the world, you know, as part of the sacred sites where our ancestors would go and give reverence to, you know, the sun, because, you know, it symbolized birth and the renewal of life, when we would, you know, come together and worship under the stars, you know, in alignment with the cosmos. We were centering ourselves and coming together all around the world, you know, at our sacred sites all around the world. Imagine these stone circles are in alignment with the cosmos. I mean, how much knowledge and intelligence do you need to have to be able to position huge bulges of stones. How we lifted them in the first place, the white people can't even work it out today. But these 40-ton, 50-ton, 100-ton boulders, you know, strategically positioned in alignment with the stars and the cosmos. Wow. Tombs that would light up, you know, with the solstice. You know, they can't even fathom how we had all of that knowledge. And sadly, a lot of that knowledge, you know, is lost to us today because we're not in tune with our ancestors, not in tune with our ancestors who had all that knowledge. And we are our ancestors, so we have all that knowledge. We've got to go inside again. Oh my gosh. You're going to Stonehenge tomorrow. Wow, wow.
Tomorrow I'm doing a Stonehenge tomorrow. And we will be able to prove on the Stonehenge that the civilization of Europe is 3,000, 5,000, 6,000 years later after the Stonehenge.
Oh,
so
yeah.
the question is who built the Stonehenge? Britain cannot claim the Stonehenge is part of their civilization. Geographically, yes, it's in your backyard. But historically, only Queen Charlotte. I want to resurrect Queen Charlotte. Then she can tell her British children who built the Stonehenge, if those are not the Moors, the Africans. And British history is not included in the Stonehenge. It must be stated. Academically, it must be written on paper that British people, you came here from the mountains and you found a civilization that was thousands of years older than yourselves. Every white man you see that has black eyes or blue eyes, they are African. I'm sorry, that might sound a bit harsh.
Yeah.
The Portuguese, the Italians, the brunettes, bundle all of them. The dilution of ourselves. So I will leave only the Netherlands, who are part of the Germans and part of the Netherlands and part of the Swedish and the Norwegians, who are still the blonde from the Caucasus. But all other Europeans that claim to be white, as long as they have black hair and black eyes, wake up, white men. Look in the mirror. If your eyes are black, you are black.
You've got black somewhere in your ancestry. Yes, yes. You know,
like really.
Yes.
The Chinese are black. Indians are black. The Europeans are black.
And it must be said that it's the black in them that have civilized them. It's the black in them that's the civilizing. It's the black in them that's given them that level of humanity that they do have. And the less black they have in them, the less human they are. That's why the blondes and the, you know, those who don't have, you know, much black in them are so uncivilized and soulless until today.
The more melanin you have, the more melanin you have, the more human you are.
Shay, that's what I was looking for. Yes, indeed. Family, this is the truth that we're talking about. You know, as Africans, we've been around for millions of years. These people are Johnny come lately. They've only been around for the last couple of 1,000 years or so. And in that short space of time, the destruction that they have caused around the world. I mean, we all know the destruction that was caused to Australia, to the original people of the Americas, the original people of the Caribbean, the original people of Europe. You know, look what's happening today in Palestine. You know, if we want to get an idea of what happens in history, we can see history unfolding in front of our faces today. Lots of messages in the chat. We want to rise you up, King. If I can just acknowledge a few of the people in the chat, they're sending you greetings and peace and love and light. Rise up, Lamin. Rise up, the Jamaica Junko in the house saying, talk the talk, King. Talk the talk. Tell them. Stolen legacy. Yes, indeed. Yes, Kwame. We migrated everywhere in the world. Yes, indeed. That's why, you know, the original people everywhere in the world were Africans, because we migrated everywhere in the world over the hundreds of thousands of years when we left Africa and set up civilizations all around the world. Afrijamo saying, wake up, the UKKK. Please wake up, Africans in the West. Let's get them thinking and leaving the West in drove. Come and build with us on the African country, on the African continent. Yes, indeed. But remember, you know, Britain was ours. Europe was ours, is ours as well. You know, we are the original people of those lands as well. And we were the ones who were partly genocided out and partly shipped and transported to other parts of their so-called new world. So we want to rise up our African warriors, yes, and our African lions. And I hope you African warriors from the UK are going to be at the UKALD event on Sunday. Where's it going to be, King? Do you know? Let me see what it says here.
We've been Tottenham.
Yes, find yourself at the Tottenham Community Sports Centre. That is 701 to 703 High Road, London, N178AD. You can book your ticket in advance via Eventbrite, or just turn up and pay on the door. You know, not only are you going to have the privilege of His Royal Highness, but in addition to His Royal Highness, you've got the King Warrior Woman, Her Majesty Mambaboka Zizi Aluku. You've been speaking with her, King, over the last few days. Please give us a little flavor of what our King Queen is going to be bringing to our people on Sunday.
In Africa, the name for the queen is Mambo Kadzi.
Mambo Kadzi. Mm-hmm.
Which means Mambo is king, Kadzi the female. And there's no king in Africa who by himself. Swaziland is a king and a queen mother, because that is the male and female energy. This whole male chauvinistic female organizations and male rights and what, it's a Western hegemony. We have never, as Africans, been confused about the role of a mother, a wife. In Shona, for example, God is called Musika Vanu, the one who makes human beings. But a woman is called Musika Ani, the one who makes the children whom God makes. Literally speaking, it means that a woman and God are in the same WhatsApp group. One is visible, one is invisible. One is with me in my bed, the other one is in the cosmos. Because even the periods on a monthly cycle are not in the calendar, they are in the moon. So it is the woman who decides what to multiply. That is Maluka San, the one who makes 100. So if you are a woman and you have not made 100 children, you have not fulfilled your purpose. Because Maluka San means you must get pregnant 100 times before you go away from here. create a nation. Women are the creators of nations. And here you are as young women on contraception. Here you are on loops. Here you are on tablets. Here you are on all sorts, because you simply don't want to duplicate. I'm talking to you, Shanice. I'm looking at you. I'm not going to spare you. I will not spare you for the sake of your program. Here you are swallowing tablets every night. Not you, of course, but some of your kind with a bag full of sex toys. Rubber plates. No. Let's just do this once and for all. This is life. I'm not here for you. I'm here for the African people. Here is an African woman with a bag full of sex toys, banana shape, and etc. She hates men, but she loves the toy. Why? You don't want to duplicate. You want to gratify yourself. What is your purpose in life? Malukazan, the one who weaves and makes, reproduces, trains, develops, educates, matures, nurtures, 100. So Malukazan actually means you come into our home here. If before you leave us 100. And you every month put your pads on yourself to throw away children for 7 days, swallow tablets for infertility. Actually, to the modern woman, reproduction is a nuisance. Their monthly periods are a mess. I have known women who even drink tablets when they are going on dates to make sure that they stop the process so that they can enjoy sex, but they don't want the responsibility. Am I lying, Shanice?
King, when I think of my parents' generation, my parents, well, my mom, she had 8 of us, and her mom had 16 children. And by the time it got to my generation,
how many do you have?
1. If I could turn back the clocks, I would have
Are
many
you doing us a favor?
Oh, no, not at all, because silly me, I was indoctrinated in the Western way. In the Western way, it was 1 or 2 children, and then, yes, we were conditioned into using all these contraceptives when we were younger, so we didn't get pregnant until we were settled and married. And many of us just didn't get married at a young age.
You're talking to me. You're talking to me.
Yes.
This program is not for everyone out there. It's even for you also. So don't run away.
Oh, it's too late for me now. I can't have any more children now.
Hold on.
It's for those.
Hold on.
It's for those who are listening who are still at childbirthing age. Throw away the contraceptive.
Shanice, don't hide behind your finger. If this program will reach many, it must reach you first. You need to say, I have done the world a disfavor.
Oh, I have. I've done the world a disfavor. I've done myself a disfavor. I wish I had at least 5 or 6.
I want you 6 months from now. I want you 6 months from now to come back on the program and say, I have my grandchild, or I have my own son. I am duplicating after my kind. Because if we don't duplicate after our own kind, the other nation is wiping us off. And yet you are the original copies, and you're allowing fake copies to be duplicated to fill up the earth.
Yes, you're absolutely right. They indoctrinated us into believing that we shouldn't be having children too young. We shouldn't be having children outside of marriage. You know, 1 or 2 children was the most children you should have. And yeah, while they were populating the world, and they are even in our countries right now, encouraging our people, even today, to take all their contraceptives. They've got their depopulation agenda because they want to continue doing what they've been doing for the last 6,000 years or so, which is wiping us off of the face of the earth. And I'm a victim. Yes, I'm a victim, you know. Sherry is saying, King, we would have more children. It's the right warrior we need for support. We would have more children, you know. And the other thing that
I in my own world, I in my own world, I in my own world, with the biology that is, the biology that we all know. I personally, because this is how the universe has done it. I can get all the women in the world, all of them, pregnant within 1 week. All of them. This is how nature has designed it. So how did we buy this subculture of Christianity, economics, biology, warped around our minds to an extent that we've bought into the rubbish that you can't afford? Your mother had 7, 8, 9, 10 children. My grandfather had 18 children. My father is number 6 from the second wife. If my grandfather had not married the second wife, you would not be talking to me right now.
Yeah. Marcus Garvey, he was the 7th
child. This program we're having right now, was impossible.
Yeah. Yeah.
The very glory that you put around me, is not mine.
Your parents. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm the 5th child. If my mum had stopped at 1, I wouldn't be here today. Have I frozen?
If your mother was you, you would not be born.
I wouldn't be born. Yes. And as I said, did you hear?
So how many children have you refused access into activity?
Wow. By the contraceptives, I've probably stopped 1 a month. Yeah.
And I'm putting you on the spot, not for you, but for your program, so that you can understand the extent of contraception, child management, which is a colonial system, which then reduces the duplication. India, China, and if we buy into the white hegemony of 1 man, 1 wife, 1 child, you will not have another Maponga J. From the second wife, the 6th born from the second wife, and 10, 15 children later. It doesn't happen like that.
Yeah. And can I add, Your Royal Highness, as well, the number of children now that are in condoms, because condoms was a big part of the depopulation thing that they pushed on our community.
It's not even condoms. Let's give it a new name. Condemn.
Condemn. The children that have been condemned into those little sacks.
And then you find a young man that says, my ancestors have left me. My ancestors have left me. But you left them in the toilet, and the dustbins in the parking lot. Who Who has condemned the other? Who left the other? Did the ancestors leave you, or you left them?
Rise up, Sister Cherry. Cherry's saying to me, come on, Shanice, have a few more babies. My time has passed, Sister Sherry. I'm too old. If I was young,
you never know. You never know. Open up the gates. You never know how African women can have children even after 70 or 80 years. You are hardly 55 or 54. So what are you afraid of?
I'm older than that.
And
too.
by the way, when you are breeding, identify a good breed and duplicate.
Yes, yes. So all those who are of age, I'm past it, but all of those who are of age, please, even Malcolm X, he was about the 7th child, wasn't he?
Shanice, imagine if Malcolm X had 15 children.
Yeah.
Imagine if Martin Luther had 25 children.
Wow.
How many other Luthers? How many other Malcolm X's? How many other Marcus Garveys would we be having? But the colonial construct has even destroyed our revolution. So when you sleep with your wife or you sleep with your husband, you must even know that even in your sexual encounter, you are colonized. Because the mindset that you have is that I can't duplicate this which I have identified as a good object.
Yeah. We're not in our right minds. I wasn't in my right mind in my younger days. I was for many years caught up in the church as well, living a celibate life. For my best years, it didn't
so that you make Jesus happy, yeah?
Imagine, and in my church family, there were like 60-year-old, 70-year-old virgins waiting for God to send them their husband. I'm glad I woke up, but not in time. And there are still so many more of us who are in the church, waiting and waiting. And many will never get married, many will never conceive. And it's as if almost the religion that we have today is another way of keeping our population numbers down. Wow, wow, wow. We got to wake up. Absolutely agree. We need to wake up. Afrijamo, rise up. Respect to you, Lamin, in the house as well.
I must apologize. The interview went south, but I think that's what the spirit allowed it to do. That if we are going to populate ourselves, we will protect ourselves.
Yes. Numbers are important. And, if we look in the UK today, but it's not called the UK anymore, if we look in, what's your new name for England, please? Okay, let me find the name. Okay, so if we look at Pambufumi today, we will notice, if we look over to the Muslim community, that they marry very young, they get together very young, and they'll have 5, 6, 7 children. And they've been doing that for the last couple of generations. And now in Pembafumi, there are entire cities where the majority of the population are Asian Muslims. they are using
45
family.
to 60% of Pambe Fumi right now is being run by Muslims.
Yeah.
Put that between your ears, including the Prime Minister. That's reproduction. That's reproduction.
And that's their strategy. Building strong families and having plenty of children. And this is what our parents had. We don't have. Strong, they built families. Mother, father. Your Royal Highness, in Pembafumi, when I was growing up, their strategy was to destroy the black family. And we didn't even
make sure that they don't reproduce.
Yes, they destroyed our families, made sure we didn't reproduce, you know, took the man out of the home, imprisoned him, locked him in mental institutions, didn't give him jobs so that he wasn't able to, you know, economically provide for the family. There was a whole bag of tools that they used to destroy the African.
Shanice, I want us to do a program purely on reproduction. Let's not just pile it on top. I think it's a subject that we need to look at, and maybe let's allow today to go. We can advertise the programs in London from Saturday to Sunday. We can get that done. But let's organize a proper program where we will talk about reproduction as a subject with the power of reproduction. And that war is being fought on the African woman. I wrote a book entitled Contested Ground. That book, you can Google it up and post it up on your page. That book specifically looks at the war of civilization is on the African woman. The African woman must not be allowed to reproduce. Because if she reproduces continuously, she will wipe out everything else that is on the table.
What was the name of the book, please, King?
Contested Ground.
Contest to the ground?
Congested ground.
Congested ground.
Or women in the kitchen.
Women in the kitchen. Okay, let's see if I can find that for the family. Women in the
They're on Amazon. Yes. They're on take a lot. It's there. We can go on Maponga J's book. You find that book entitled Contested Ground.
Yes. I found it. I'll bring it up. Wow.
Post that book.
Yes. Let me post it.
The war is on the African woman. She is the ground on which civilization sits on.
I'm getting to the chat. I'll do it this way. Yes, I've got the book here, and seeing if I can post it again. It's in Amazon. You can get it in Amazon. A Contested Ground through women.
Everywhere. Contested Ground. For Women in the Kitchen. I published it twice already. But that is a book that actually discusses the value of the African woman and yet threats. Colonialism.
It's coming up on the screen. There it is on the screen now, family. You should be able
That's the one.
Whoops, dismiss that.
And it's a bridge. That book is a bridge between Christianity and African indigenous knowledge systems. There
you go. So get that book. Oh, have we lost King? What happened there? Or am I the one who's lost? Apologies if I've dropped out, family. I think it's King that we've lost. Sincere apologies. Hopefully our King will be able to come back and rejoin us soon. Unfortunately, we was just talking about his book there, and we seem to have lost him. Sincere apologies.